So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a new tab. I don't want to talk overview. They're going to make a new tab. So the passenger base, just to be clear, is this little plastic thing. The main body was like the section with the passenger. Some of you may have called it the passenger section. I'm going to call this the front section. All right, the front section. So the main body. All right. You can call this next thing the front body or the front section. It doesn't really matter, but it's the front of the car. So I'm clicking here, this plus sign, create part studio, and we can call this whatever, but it is the front of the car. Okay? And I do want this to be oriented like this, where when I have it in the default front, right, top, I guess almost like corner of the view cube, it's in its natural position like this, where this would be the front facing part of the car, this is the side, this is the top. So I want to do the same thing with the front section, and so it's very important if we do that, we're going to draw this initial sketch on the right plane. We're basically going to draw that profile. Okay? We're going to draw that shape, and that shape will then extrude, and that's going to give us the front of our car. So I'm going to make a sketch on the right plane. Now, I want you to just kind of look up here and watch. I'm going to show you a variety of different ways you can do some cool stuff. Most of your cars, if not all of them, probably have some curves on the front section. Yes, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some different ways to draw curves, and then it's on you to kind of make that work out. We're clear? Yes, yeah. For me, I got the bottom as flat. So what I can do is I can draw a vertical line, and I can draw a horizontal line. Easy. That's done right there. Actually, I would have you do this. Draw your vertical line at a minimum. Okay? The height of this. What is the height of this? Measure it. Okay? Get a number. But I want you to go check this because it should be the same height as this. Yes, yeah? Yeah? In fact, for me, it's pretty close. I got 38 and a half, and that one was 39. So you know what? Yeah, I'm going to just go with 39. If you want to make it the same number as this one. Sound good? Yes, eh? So I'm going to go make that the same height. If you have a flat bottom section like mine, you can draw that out and measure it as well. Not all of you have that though. So, I understand if that's not an option for you. And for me, that looks to be about 36. Okay? We good so far? Yes or yeah? If your bottom is not flat, then don't draw it. There's a variety of ways you can do curves. We've already talked about fillets, where if you have like a corner, doesn't have to be a right angle, by the way. Any corner can do a fillet. So you could draw, I'm just going to go over here to just draw some random thing. You could draw like an angled corner like that. This fillet still works. Okay? You can still do a fillet on a corner, even if it's not 90 degrees. In fact, and my computer froze. Awesome. In fact, you can even do it on acute angles. Okay? You can fill it in acute angle as well. We're good? Yeah? Yeah. Other ways to do curves. You're aware of the circle tool, but there's also the arc tool. So you can draw parts of a circle. So let's say that I wanted to do part of a circle going from here to here. So I have 3 different types of circular arcs. Typically, you do the 3-point arc or the center point arc. So like I could do the 3-point arc. There's the end of one side, there's the end of the other side, and the third one adjusts the curvature size. We're good so far? You say yeah? Certainly could do that. The problem with that is that is now exactly circular though. It's a part of a circle. And your curves may not be perfectly circular. So we have another option. Just as you can draw ellipses with the circle tool, you can also draw elliptical arcs. It's a little bit more complicated doing an elliptical arc, but you can do it. It can be done. We're good? Yes, yeah? Yeah. The last thing I'm going to show you is the most interesting and exciting, and that's the spline tool. So the spline tool is right here. And I would encourage you to just kind of play around with it. But basically, every time you click, you make what's referred to as a vertex or a control point. See how it's kind of smoothly curved? We see that? Yeah? And if you want to know how to draw and finish it, you click to place a control point, and then when you're at your last control point, you can double click and that ends it. Sound good? Yes or yeah? And you can move these control points around. Now, if I want to adjust the exact curvature of this, I can adjust each individual control point. If you need to add control points, you can click on Spline Control Point. So that's a drop-down arrow, Spline Control Point. You can add more. And of course, if you have one you don't need, you can click on it and delete it. Questions about the spline tool? So I feel like I'm going to try and do the spline tool here. All right. I'm going to start off of that and show you a way to do that. So my car it goes like up, and then like that, and then like that. So I did 3 control points. And you can kind of move those around. And get the desired shape. The tricky thing with this is dimensioning it. How do you dimension this? It's kind of tough, isn't it? So I know that there's kind of like a point that's like furthest out, so to speak. Yeah. So what you can do is you can dimension to these control points, or you can put a point on here, any point, and dimension to it. So I'm going to show you kind of a pro tip here, but it is a little complicated, and it works, but it is a little complicated, and that might not be your cup of tea. I want to make a point that is on the furthest edge possible. Make sense with the So I'm just going to place it kind of close to where I think it is. Are we good so far? Yeah? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line that goes perfectly vertical. We good so far? Yeah? Why do I have the vertical line? All right, you're going to have to trust me on this. what I'm going to do to ensure that this point is at the furthest place on this curve, I'm going to make this vertical line tangent to the curve. Wherever that vertical line is tangent to the curve, by definition, then by geometry proofing and all that stuff, you could prove that has to be the furthest point out to the left. Make sense? Hopefully, yes, maybe, possibly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the tangent constraint. There it is. It makes a line tangent to a curve. And I'm going to apply it to this curve. I already had that line selected, so I only have to click one time. I'm going to show that again. All right, I got show constraints on. I'll click on tangent, and you can select this line, and then select this curve. And by doing that, no matter what I do here, that line will always be tangent. Sound good? Yeah, maybe, possibly? Yeah? And then, one thing that might be helpful is making this line vertical. Or else that's not actually going to be the tangent line. And also the furthest part to the left. Do we have questions before I continue? So, you can use the dimension tool to pinpoint that location. And I use calipers to basically measure up to that point on my not my windshield, the front part that sticks out the most. How high up was it from the bottom? I can also measure the maximum width. Yes, yeah. Maximum width, just like that. You see what I'm doing here? Just like we measured circular sizes. What? Yeah. So I'm looking at about 41. So I kind of got the leading edge of that curve there. Are we good so far? Yes, yeah? Yeah. Beyond that, though, you might not really be able to accurately dimension everything. Because with it being a curved surface, there's going to be a lot of unknowns, studies to measure. Questions? Question. Normally, I would say you don't want to have any blue in your sketch because that means that you have some things that aren't fully constrained by dimensions or constraints or a combination thereof. In other words, I could do exactly what you did, but get a different sketch because it's not fully constrained. You get what I'm saying? Like it's the same dimensions, technique, but get a different result, which is not good. However, I think it's fair to say that making this front part of the car is not precise. And so, you know what? If you want to just move things and put them where they look good, that's fine, right? Yeah, we're good? Now, what I could do is I could dimension these things. Like that. And now lock them in place. And then this white thing There's no like control point after the end point. So the white thing kind of indicates the angle that this makes. I could even dimension to that, believe it or not. And I could do it up here too. This one, maybe I put a horizontal constraint. Why I did the horizontal constraint? Because this top part is going to smoothly go into effectively a flat top, right? Because it just continues off flat into the next section. So I do have everything black, but I didn't really measure these dimensions that lock these control points in place because I don't really know where they are exactly. I just got it to be black so that it's all fully constrained. So if I click and drag, it's not going to change. You do you on that. If you have any questions? I'm going to give you a little bit of a moment here to play around with your arc tool, your elliptical arc tool, your spline tool, to see kind of what you come up with for your forward section. You might find it really easy. You might find some challenges. One of the things that I always point out is, since you're kind of all learning CAD, I wouldn't focus on necessarily being 100% perfect or having every single detail if you're struggling. Okay, we understand this. Just kind of go for the basic shape outline with a technique that you know, and we'll go from there. Give you a few minutes, not a lot of time, because I do want to move on and show other things. Meanwhile, I'm going to go watch a cat video. Who does FBLA?
Does what?
Huh?
Does what?
FBLA. And we do DECA? No.
Well, they have a field trip today, so why would they be here?
Who's in charge of FBLA and who's in charge of DECA? Is Cass and
Cassie and
DECA?
Stringer, I think.
Well, but who's in charge of what?
I think Stringer is FBLA and
Cass
Cassie
is
is
DECA. That's what I thought, but I want to make sure. Okay. How are we doing, boys? Are we maybe ready for to move on? Yeah, maybe, possibly. Let's do it. Let's do it. You can finesse this on your own time. I have showed you kind of like a technique to dimension to the peak or extremity of a spline. You put a random point there, and then you draw a line that's vertical or horizontal, and you make that line tangent to the curve. And then that allows you to dimension to the most extreme point and notice the most extreme point, okay? Before I move on, I would say that if you ever do a line like this, or this technique, you probably should make it a construction line. Construction lines have the dash aspect to it. You can see that dash part there. This is very similar to the star in the passenger base, where we had like the circle and the pentagon and the other circle were all dashed or construction lines. So they're not selectable when you do like extrusions. And then I just extrude this. Now, I would recommend that you do a symmetric extrusion so that it goes both ways, equal distances across this plane. Sound good? Yes or yeah? You still type in the overall width. You don't need to do any math like do it got divide by 2 or multiply 2 by 2. No. You could just take the width. Now I can measure this width. I got about 81. But I'm gonna go check what I got the last time I did this. But I got 81 that time too. That's pretty comforting. So I'll make this 81. That symmetric part of the extrusion is really helpful though. Notice now that the right plane cuts it in half. We good? Yeah? Possibly? Maybe? I'll put this at an angle. When I see the front, top, and right plane, your part should look like it's oriented in that way. Now, an astute observer might notice that these edges are rounded. Do we see that? Yes, say yeah. Yeah. We see the edges are rounded. How would we do that? Fill it. There it is. If I go to my main body, I can see the exact size of that fillet actually. Oh, looks like I used 8 before. So I go here, fill it, make it 8. I can click on that to the bottom, that, the bottom. And that checks out. That checks out perfectly. Now, there's different ways you can do what are basically divots for the headlights. So you see these little divots, right? They look like scoops. If I took like a circular shaped tool, I could like scoop out that hole. Yes, say yeah. So I'm going to show you kind of a technique that you can use to create those. We're only going to do one side. Why are we only going to do one side?
Because we can mirror the other.
You can just mirror the other one, right? All right. So this is a little bit more of an advanced technique, but I'm sure you all will manage. I'm going to show you, I think, 2 different ways. Well, 1.5 different ways to do this. Okay? Sound good? Yes, say yeah? So what I'm going to do, first way I'm going to do it is I'm going to hide all these planes because they're going to get in my way. And I'm going to make a plane. So I'm not in any sketch. So I see all the features up here rather than sketch tools. I'm going to click on the plane, and I'm going to click on this, and that creates an offset plane that I don't want to go that way. How would I change what way it goes? Guys, remember how we changed the direction of anything? Same thing with extrudes or stuff like that. Huh?
The arrow?
Yeah. So there's a black arrow right here. We see that black arrow? Yeah. We see that? You can click on that and it changes the direction. So I don't have an exact distance for you that's necessarily perfect. But what I'm going to basically do is on this plane, I'm going to draw circles and then I'm going to drill into the wood like this. Think like a circle. I'm going to do a remove extrude into the wood. Sound good? Yeah? So you can kind of ballpark where the leading edge of those headlights are if it helps. I'm going to go with 37. So I have made a plane that's 37 away from this flat surface. We good so far? All right. If I want to do a headlight, what I can do is I can just draw a circle. I'll put a sketch on this plane. This is starting to get into very personalized stuff. How many lights there are, the exact size of them. If you want to take a little bit of academic freedom here, you can. So if you don't want to necessarily religiously stick to the exact dimensions of the front of your car, I'm okay with that. I'm here to show you how to do techniques. It's not really about making this car 100%, okay? We don't need CAD replicas of this car. So I kind of drew a circle there. I'm not even going to dimension it. You could dimension it. I'm not going to worry about that. And then I can just extrude and I can cut into however far I need to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose remove. If it does this red issue because it's going the other direction, just click the black arrow, okay? And you can kind of go in as far as you want. It does show a preview approximately how far it goes. You can click on the arrow to drag it a little some, all right? But there's my headlight. Sound good? Yes, say yeah? Yeah. Now, I am going to make it a specific diameter. You'll see why in a moment. I just need to know the diameter. I'm going to make it 11. Let's go with 12. Okay? Don't quote that number. That number's not special. I just go with 12. All right, nice number. If you look at your headlights, they're rounded in there, aren't they? How do you think we could round that? Hold that thought. How could I round the bottom of that? We've already done this, by the way. It's a technique we've already done before. How do you round anything?
Fill it?
Fill it. So what was the diameter? It was 12, right? So I can go do a fillet really quick, and I can make it half that, which is 6. And I can go click on the bottom, and I have a fillet. The problem with this is, I have found, is if that doesn't go deep enough, it won't be able to do the fillet right here, because it like runs into the opening. That's the one downside of this. If I take this and I go really far back, okay, that fillet should work. I'm going to have to reapply it. don't know what the magnitude does. Yeah, it's still not really working out. Oh well. It works on certain circumstances. You can do this. Pull around. Oh yeah. So that's one option. It's finicky though. So why I showed it to you first, because it used stuff you already know, but I kind of anticipated it wasn't going to work. Second option though, and I'm going to do this one kind of on the other side. I was able to get this asymmetric one to work though. That one did work. If I make it like 5.9, that's pretty much almost perfect. There, it's rounded. Okay, so if I do it asymmetric and you make it like almost exactly the same number, it seems to work. That's any technique. All right, Alex, what did you say though earlier?
Revolve.
Yeah. So you can do a revolve as well. I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? But the way the revolve is going to work is going to be a little bit different. All right? It's going to be a little bit different. So if I want to do the revolve, all right, what I would do is I would make a plane that's offset from the side and goes into if you can see that blue line there sticking out, you can make a plane that kind of sticks out. You can think of it as basically cutting the headlight in half. Okay? You cut the headlight in half. That plane might need to go a little bit further in, or maybe go like there. And then what you can do is you can draw a rectangle and then a curved part, and you just like rotate it and it carves out that cavity. I'm going to show you how to do this. If you have a hard time visualizing it, I would just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Okay? So I'm going to sketch on this plane. Keep in mind that this plane has kind of cut into my shape, right? Yes, see, yeah? Now, do you guys remember how I can make the stuff blocking it go away for a little bit? Remember? We did it with the connector piece. I kind of got this edge blocking what I want to draw here. Do you remember how to make that go away?
It was second view.
Yeah, very good. So I can right click on like this plane here. And I can choose section view. Okay. Makes it easy to see. And I can sketch on that. I can sketch on that plane. And what I could do as just an example, okay, I could draw like a rectangle like that. And then I could put a little circle on the end. Sound good? Yes, say yeah? Yeah, we're good so far, maybe, possibly? You might like to draw the whole shape and rotate it 180 degrees. Or you might like to draw the half shape. So I can do the half shape and rotate it 360 degrees. So like I could do this, this center point arc. If you're like, you're going too fast, this is what the stream is for. Okay. But I got this shape now, all right? You either draw the whole thing or half of it. And then, instead of extrude, we'll use revolve. I am removing stuff. But you can add stuff too. And it says face and sketch regions to revolve. I would click on this. It's not letting me choose this circle. Try that. Maybe it'll work now. So I click on this region. It says missing. Oh boy. I'll try my little sketch again. Take care, girl. I think that's an enclosed shape now. And I can do revolve, and I can select that. The revolve axis, I could choose this bottom part. And it's going to like cut the whole thing out. Okay? So notice it kind of cut out that whole cavity. If you aren't careful, it's easy to not have your rectangle go far enough. That's an easy fix though. You can't go too far. You can only go not far enough. Do you remember how to get rid of section views? The surefire way to do it, if you don't remember which plane you did it on?
Right click on it, and then...
You can right click on it. If you remember the plane, you can right click on the plane, yes. But what if you don't remember where you did the section view? So you can go to this camera and render options by the view cube. And you can turn off section view. And notice that I have a very nice rounded little headlight. Sound good? Yes or yeah? You can use your calipers to ballpark dimension these. But hopefully you've kind of seen two different ways here. As I showed with the fillet, and I've ran this issue in the past, it's like when you try to fill it inside there, it like doesn't let you do it if it's exactly the full size. So you have to like make it a hair smaller or make it asymmetric. I don't really know why it works that way, but that's how it works. But if you do the revolve, you can do it perfectly. I think the revolve is a little bit harder to do, but it does look better. Do you guys have questions? Questions? So I've kind of given you guys a couple different ways to do the headlights. Sound good? Yes, say yeah. At this point, I want you to play around with stuff. You should be able to do this part of the front section yourself. The plastic shape part that interfaces the connector piece. You should be able to do different headlights. If you want to do pinstripes, you can. Some of you have looked at doing, some of you have like those like metal looking grill looking things or whatever, depending on your car. I'm going to let y'all cook on that.